Hello everybody and good afternoon. My name is Don Arleth and you're watching World News. Secretary of State at the Polish Ministry of Defense Paweł Bejda said that Poland hasn't terminated any contracts regarding the procurement of S-70I Black Hawk military helicopters, as no such contracts have been signed for the procurement of these helicopters. This follows media reports saying that Poland is moving away from procuring Black Hawk helicopters for the Polish army. The official stressed that the Polish army is constantly analyzing what it needs to respond to threats, including equipment purchased by Russia. The deal, initiated in 2023 by the previous Polish administration, involved Lockheed Martin's Polish branch, PZL Mielec. Officials stressed that the procurement decisions align with classified military planning and national security needs. For the past few years, Warsaw has stepped up a major defensive drive, upgrading its armed forces and spending nearly 5% of GDP on defense, the highest rate among NATO member states. The port of Gdańsk has officially become bigger today. The official opening of the third terminal at the Gdańsk container port took place this morning. With the expansion, Gdańsk became one of the largest and most important ports in Europe. Our reporter Ovidiusz Nicheja is in Gdańsk with more.
Port. In fact, it's the largest maritime container port on the Baltic Sea, and today it has grown even bigger. With the opening of its third terminal, this facility has increased its annual capacity by some 50%.
This is a very significant terminal. If you compare T1 and T2 to T3, it's like completely different. We have cranes that are able to handle the largest vessels in the world. We can go up to 24,000 TEU vessels, which is more than the other two terminals.
The Polish authorities are saying that given the trends in international transport and trade, this is a very significant new investment.
This is
an extremely important day for the development of Poland's maritime economy, because the largest container terminal on the Baltic Sea, the terminal in Gdańsk, is increasing its capacity by 1.5 million TEUs per year. This means it will be able to handle 1.5 million more 20-foot containers annually.
Local authorities also hope that this terminal will contribute to the growth of this region and the city of Gdańsk.
Already today, the Baltic Hub is the largest container port on the Baltic Sea. This shows that the role of Gdańsk, Pomerania and Poland in foreign trade, but also in terms of strategic security, is growing.
The port city of Gdańsk is a Hanseatic city with long trading traditions. And with the opening of the third terminal at the container port, the city hopes to open a new chapter in its history. For TVP World, from Gdańsk, Ovidiusz Nicheja.
Poland's economy is on the rise with record low unemployment and impressive growth figures for May. Prime Minister Donald Tusk praised the country's economic rebound, noting the lowest unemployment rate in May at 5% and a steady decline in inflation now at 4%. Tusk highlighted the striking contrast from just 2 years ago when the economy was stagnating, and now with GDP growth of 3.2% in the first quarter of 2025, Poland leads Europe. Tusk says that these facts are an undeniable indication that the Polish economy is moving forward and people are benefiting from it. Following the results of the recent Polish presidential elections, which saw the victory of opposition candidate Karol Nawrocki, the ruling coalition needs to show that its government can offer a new political chapter to its voters. This is how Jovanka Jakubik-Lalik, associate professor at the Faculty of Law and Administration from the University of Warsaw, explains the recent conciliatory moves of the four parties that make up the current ruling coalition.
I think it is very important also for the public to see that there is a new opening of the government, that there is some new quality proposed by the Prime Minister and the ministers. And I think that there are several possible scenarios when it comes to what will happen in next weeks. But for sure, the biggest challenge is to address what we have learned from the elections last Sunday, so that people are really dissatisfied with the government work so far, and they are expecting much better results than the ones that were before that. And also, I think that the government correctly addressed the problem of lack of communication.
Overnight, Russia launched missile and drone strikes on Ukraine, targeting the country's capital in the city of Chernihiv. In Kyiv alone, 3 people were killed and 40 wounded, according to reports from Ukrainian police.
Citizens of Kyiv took shelter underground as the Russian barrage continued throughout the night. The Ukrainian Air Force reported that Moscow used cruise missiles launched from strategic aircraft, ballistic missiles and swarms of Shahed drones to carry out the attacks. In Chernihiv, north of Kyiv, 4 people were reportedly wounded as a result of similar attacks. According to the first estimates, at least 14 explosions were heard throughout the city during the night.
And in the wake of recent massive Russian attacks on civilian targets, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has once again pleaded for allies to ramp up the pressure on Russia.
Please, I ask you to support all efforts to put pressure on Russia, to support diplomatic, political and economic pressure. Please demand new effective sanctions against Russia and their regime, for the sake of putting an end to the murders and strikes, for the sake of achieving real peace, for the sake of holding Russians responsible for the war.
In a discussion about the impact of sending weapons to Ukraine, Ruben F. Johnson, research fellow at the Kazimierz Puławski Foundation, explained how such support not only strengthens Ukraine's defense, but also boosts the defense industry in NATO countries. Here's what he had to say.
When we say we're sending X hundred million or X billion dollars worth of military aid to Ukraine, what does that really mean? It means we're taking hardware off the shelf, out of stocks that we've already produced, and it gets sent to Ukraine. And then that money actually never gets to Ukraine, a lot of it. It just stays in America. It stays in America to build new hardware to replace the stocks that have been sent to Ukraine already. So what are we doing? We're giving ourselves more money. We're paying for American workers to work extra shifts on production lines to build more Javelins or more MSC Patriot air defense system missiles or build F-16, whatever it is. But
it does make a difference on the battlefield.
Oh, it makes a huge difference on the battlefield. But the reason I bring this up is that people keep saying, why are we sending all this money, written in inverted commas, to Ukraine? It's not going to Ukraine. It's going to American and NATO nation defense companies to build more hardware.
President of the European Council, Antonio Costa, is in the Vatican on Friday for a significant meeting with Pope Leo XIV. This follows a key phone call between the new pontiff and Russian President Vladimir Putin, where peace efforts in Ukraine were at the forefront. Antonio Costa's visit to the Vatican marks a pivotal moment as he meets with Pope Leo for the first time since the pontiff's election. The discussions come shortly after the Pope's call with Putin, during which he urged the Russian president to take steps towards peace in Ukraine. Costa's visit comes at a crucial time as the European Union continues its diplomatic efforts in Eastern Europe. Later today, Costa will meet with Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni following recent talks between Meloni and French President Emmanuel Macron aimed at strengthening Italian-French relations. Costa described those talks as a positive step, signaling a potential shift in European cooperation. And that concludes this edition of World News. Thanks for joining me, and stick around because there's more to come here on TVP World. Bye.